Hey guys, it's your favorite Dinobot here, and today we're going to talk about one of the few inverse Transformers debates, Megatron versus Lockdown, specifically Megatron from the last night versus Lockdown here. And so before we start here, go ahead and subscribe to my boy Nothing Important here, because I have to thank him for discussing this with me here. And we actually did get into a pretty good conversation with this here. So without further ado, let's begin. Now again, I do have a whole video talking about why Lockdown is on Fraud Watch and stuff, giving y'all the evidence for everything right then and there. And I'll only use a few small points here. Now let's actually talk about it. Now a lot of people actually do use Lockdown as, I guess you say, one of the very big bads of the Bayverse here, putting him above about Optimus, Megatron, just about everybody here. But again, we do know his scars do come from Sideswipe and Mirage, due to the sheer fact that their blades match not only the one on his eyes, that one definitely being from Sideswipe, but then the ones on his chest being from Mirage. Now again, we do know Lockdown does not fight people in direct confrontations, which does actually hurt his, I guess you could say, his chances in this battle here, because again, with Ratchet, he did not fight him directly. He actually chose to ambush him along with Cemetery Wind. And keep in mind, during my video, we only know that the Autobots have actually 4 actual deaths that have been recorded here, being that Leadfoot, Ratchet, Hightower, and Override were the only Autobots that were actually caught by Cemetery Wind here. Most of the Autobots on the cards were killed in Chicago here, or were known to just be missing entirely here, or pretty much hiding here, meaning that Cemetery Wind did not know where most of these Autobots were, and were just basically going off guesses here. Now keep in mind, characters like Mirage and Sideswipe would actually scale to Starscream. This because in Dark and Moon the game, Mirage was actually capable of holding his own in a one-on-one with Starscream, who, as we all saw, killed a large majority of the aerial bots, like just fodderizing an entire army of aerial bots here. And keep in mind, Breakaway is somewhat relative to the likes of Soundwave here, so you pretty much have that here. Now with Lockdown's basically ambush tactics here, and I know a lot of people are going to say this, well, what about his fight with Bumblebee? Well, yeah, I do think Bumblebee is definitely relative and, around the same levels as Sideswipe and Mirage here. But again, we do have to remember, Bumblebee was pressing him for a large majority of that fight and pretty much blasting him around, sending him flying. And keep in mind, Lockdown had just fought Optimus and, had him pinned down. So the sheer fact that Lockdown was trying to show relatively to Optimus here, but yet is getting breakdance moved by Bumblebee during a fight, tossed around, kicked around, and then blasted through multiple structures here before he eventually gets a hold of him. Then again, we also have the Dinobot arguments where people say Lockdown was able to capture the Dinobots. And then again, I have to ask this here. How? Go ahead, name how. Because again, with the likes of Grimlock being able to not only nearly one-tap barricade, but literally manhandle the likes of Megatron here, and then the sheer fact we have other Dinobots showing relativity, if not superiority to the Autobots, like Strafe being superior to the fact of Bumblebee, as he was a key part of their fight of being able to defeat, well, Stinger here. And the sheer fact we do know that the, Autobots would not have been able to beat the KSI army without the likes of the rest of the Dinobots here. Now, another argument against Lockdown being relative to Optimus is, again, evasion mode Optimus here, where Lockdown is literally trying to get Optimus, while Optimus is in a more defensive mode here, and he's slightly weaker because, again, he wasn't really repaired properly from Cade, so you kind of have that here. And keep in mind, the way he beat Lockdown was literally slamming a hook into his chest here and just leaving him there to dangle. So pretty much if Optimus wanted to, it's very possible he could have just killed Lockdown right then and there. And then we have the fight itself here, where again, people are like, well, Lockdown, was showing relativity to Optimus, when Optimus actually started to get the upper hand for a large majority of that fight here, he was actually just bullying Lockdown, which is physical strength alone here. So with that being said here, yeah, I don't think this is going to be close here. But let's actually talk about the reasons why with Megatron. Megatron actually was able to fight against Hound, Hot Rod, and Bumblebee all at the same time here. And we see that they were mainly jumping him. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Optimus was there too. My bad. So he technically fought 4 Autobots all at the same time here. So essentially, he shows more relativity and more superiority to Optimus than Lockdown does. Let's not even forget the sheer fact that he was able to consistently take blasts from the likes of Hound, Bumblebee, Hot Rod, and Optimus here, Dude was basically fine, all right, with after all these attacks here. And then he also took attacks from the Dinobots as well here, or, just Grimlock included here. And yes, he did retreat here, but that is because Grimlock is vastly better than what he was in the last night. And keep in mind, again, he manhandles Bumblebee in a very quick fashion rather than, well, what Lockdown did. Then we have the literal feat of him being able to pin down Optimus with one arm. One arm. So let's really talk about it here. This is not close. It really isn't. And unfortunately, Megatron would one tap Lockdown here. You see, the relativity showing to multiple Autobots rather than just them in one-on-one, and according to, well, possibly what actually happened with Sideswipe and Mirage, likely a 2-against-1 as well, where he basically lost it here. If you put the Megatron in these same situations here, he's going to do it himself here. And considering the sheer fact that Lockdown did need Cemetery Wind to do a large majority of the work here, considering the sheer fact that it's very possible Ratchet would have been able to beat him. And keep in mind, Ratchet is like, I wouldn't say kind of featless, but again, he is a deadly Autobot in his own right here. But again, the sheer fact that Megatron in the first movie would still be superior to Ratchet, and yet in the last night he should be multiple times stronger than what he is, not only in Age of Extinction but in the first movie as well here. Yeah, Megatron hits that boy with a fusion cannon, and it's a good night here. But hey, that's gonna be all today. You guys, please comment down below, like and subscribe and share with your friends. This is Legendary Grimlock, and you guys have a blessed day.